Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumibilia. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe. And if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So you guys, today's video, I know it's kind of old news, but I just had to do this because I realized that it's been a hot topic for a while. There was a ban on advanced placement African American studies in the state of Florida by the governor Ron DeSantis, and people have had a lot to say about it. So I just want to play different reactions from people, from Americans, but we particularly focus on African Americans on these new developments.
So imagine being able to take AP European history or AP American history in the same state that you can't take AP African American history. That state is run by Governor Ron DeSantis, who banned this AP class because it said it lacks educational value. So being curious, I went and did some digging, and I found out that the AP African American Studies program actually goes beyond popular topics to highlight cultural traditions and resistance movements. Some of the topics include African American greats like Valerie L. Thomas, who invented the illusion transmitter for NASA, also the reign of Queen Nzinga, also the Harlem Renaissance, and so on and so forth. I'm a graduate of an African American lit program, and I think all those topics have great educational value. The only way that you can think those topics lack educational value is if you don't value the culture in which they come from. Stay woke.
Tell me you hate black skin, black people, black culture without telling me.
Classroom controversy for Governor DeSantis today.
It comes after he rejected a College Board request to approve an AP African American Studies course. Local 10's Alexis Frazier in the newsroom with those details. Alexis?
Yeah, Janice and Gio, this move came with little explanation, but in a letter to the College Board, the Florida Department of Education said a new AP course on African American Studies for high school students significantly lacks educational value. The letter went on to say in the future, should College Board be willing to come back to the table with lawful, historically accurate content, FDOE will always be willing to reopen the discussion.
It's not enough that we've been pulled away from our land, our culture, our people. It's not enough that y'all enslaved us for over 250 years. It's not enough that you institute black codes, Reconstruction, redlining, mass incarceration. No, that's not enough. Now, an AP high school course on African American Studies is unlawful according to Florida law and the Department of Education. Wow. 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 The suppression of truth is always intentional, and this is what they're afraid of.
On the College Board's website, a description of the course said it planned to introduce high school students to African American studies and include teachings on literature, geography, and other fields, and to explore the vital contribution and experiences of African Americans.
And this is why in our community, we need to continue to teach and admonish one another, instruct one another. It got to be a mutual thing, because the strategic, systemic suppression of our truth, our history, our culture continue to be a real war. Love y'all. I'm out.
Wanted to talk to you guys about the ban on AP African American Studies in Florida and the reasons why it doesn't really make sense, considering what the class is. AP courses are an opportunity for high school students to get college credit ahead of getting to college. So a great way to save money and also get a leg up on completing their chosen major faster. AP courses are developed by the same company, College Board, which administers the SAT, one of the main entrance exams used for college admissions. Since all colleges accept AP credit, the courses have to meet a certain level of academic standards in order to be approved as an AP course by College Board. Ron DeSantis says that AP African American Studies has no educational value. That's an absolute lie, because students can use that course to get at least one of the history requisites at the college level taken care of before they enter college. Then, of course, you have to take a very tough exam in order to get final approval for the advanced college credit. And essentially, that's why the entire course is geared towards you studying for the exam.
Y'all, I am so excited. Because while we are talking about the AP African American Studies class that was banned in Florida, NBC got a hold of the actual curriculum, and I have been waiting to get my hands on it. So when you go to NBC.com, go to this article, scroll down and click the AP African American Studies course material. All 79 pages are here. It talks about how it is taught and what is being taught. So there are 4 units, starting with the origins of the African diaspora, freedom, enslavement, and resistance, the practice of freedom, and movements and debates. And then they go into breaking it down a little bit more, giving learning objectives and essential knowledge. But here's my favorite section, the appendix, because it gives textbooks that are being used in the classroom, as well as common texts like speeches, essays, poetry, and regular books. And what do you know? There's even talk about the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Fugitive Slave Acts, and there are also films included. This is why it's important to go digging yourself. Ron DeSantis is a liar.
So I actually already talked about this in a previous video, but now NBC has released the curriculum to the AP African American Studies course and what it would look like, what the course would go over in each unit, and what the objectives of the course are. And let me just say that I, first and foremost, am African American. I'm an African American Studies major. I've taken African American history, a regular course in high school, and then I took Intro to African American Studies. And I looked over the curriculum, and it's very similar to what I took in my Intro to African American Studies course. Very similar. So the reason DeSantis blocked it is because it talks about queer studies, and I know like Florida has this whole thing, they're really homophobic, but I'm like, and they're trying to say it's a political agenda. It's not a political agenda if that's what happened. I need you to be for real. Like, I just need them to be so for real right now. There's nothing political about a human right, and I need them to understand that. They always say, you know, American history this, American history that. We don't really talk about Black history in American history. They briefly talk about slavery, and then they briefly talk about like Martin Luther King Jr., and that's it. But there's so much more. This course would go from prior transatlantic slave trade to now, and you know, it's not, and I think I've seen this somewhere. He also didn't like that it talked about Angela Davis, and it said it was talking about communism. And I'm like, babe, again, this is what happened. It's not pushing any agenda. It's not forcing you to believe anything. But first off, if you're racist or homophobic, I highly doubt you're smart enough to be in an AP course anyway. Whoever's mad about this, saying it's a political agenda, they don't have to sign up for this course. You don't have to sign up for an AP course. So if you don't want your child to be learning this, and you want them to stay closed-minded, and you want your child to stay dense, then tell them to not sign up for this course.
Just one day after quoting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ron DeSantis has banned African American Studies in Florida, calling it useless. Here he is on MLK Day quoting Dr. King as if he actually cares about what Dr. King stood for. And then the very next day, he says that AP African American Studies program lacks educational value and used this so-called Stop Woke Act to block the program from being in schools. And as many racial justice leaders and activists have pointed out, the Stop Woke Act is just a sanitized way of saying stop black people. But here's the part that a lot of folks missed. DeSantis' own lawyer was forced by a judge to define what woke means. Here's how he defined it. The belief that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to address them. I mean, that's a pretty accurate definition, which shows that they know they are discriminating against black people. They just don't care. This is what systemic white supremacy looks like.
So you guys have heard all they have to say, and I can understand the sentiments. I didn't want to really talk about this before because I realized that it was leaning more towards a political issue, but then it's an issue that affects the black community, and I feel like it has to do with educating our people on our history. So I think what's happening now is that there's going to be a revised edition of the curriculum of the African American Studies, and I don't know how people are reacting to this.
Okay, we're going to be tweaking the syllabus of AP African American Studies just a hair. We're just going to remove some of the content that was causing problems, like Black feminism or queer Black intersectionality or discussion of Black Lives Matter. So you're caving to Ron DeSantis and just removing the things that he didn't like about the course? No, we don't look to political leaders for our educational content. Instead, we're just changing our material to fit with input from professors and long-standing AP principals. Okay, because it sure seems like a coincidence that everything you're removing is the stuff that Ron DeSantis and other conservatives had a problem with. We're also adding the subject of Black conservatism as a suggested research topic. Oh, come on, really? It's a problem when the course discusses Black feminism or queer Black people or Black Lives Matter, but when it's Black conservatism, it's completely different and somehow fine? Yes. Do you have any questions? Yeah, are any colleges actually going to accept this for course credit?
I've been an AP teacher for 10 years, and I want to talk about the changes College Board is making to the AP African American Studies class. Because I've read all 234 pages of that framework, and I have feelings about it. Because now, after pushback, there is not a single mention of the word queer in the entire proposal. Gay shows up twice, mentioned as a source of resistance that activist and organizer Bayard Rustin got for his sexuality, and then again as an optional part of a project. The word intersectionality was used exactly once. Same with Black Lives Matter, both now in this optional project. What's happening is, in trying to please the unpleasable, the College Board is made a watered-down, fictionally palatable version of American history. I will say that reading through it got me so excited for what students who choose to take this course will have a chance to explore. But at the same time, I'm reminded when Don't Say Gay started, we were all told that it didn't mean what we thought it meant. It was just to keep inappropriate discussions of sexuality away from kindergartners. But we knew that wasn't true then, and it hasn't been. AP classes are supposed to be college-level work. There is an expected threshold of rigor. But instead, it's bending to bullies who have no real interest or investment in education. And the consequence will be another generation of Black and queer students who see their existence as controversial and optional.
Here are 3 things I would do right now if I was the head of the College Board in response to Florida rejecting their new AP African American Studies course. And just to be clear, I'm not the head of the College Board, and I have no power, so these are literally just my own personal opinions as an experienced AP history teacher. Number 1, I would essentially threaten to move one of the reading sites out of the state of Florida. So for those of you who don't know, the AP reading is essentially the week or two when thousands of teachers and professors descend on a city, descend on a conference center, and basically sit down and grade the exams nonstop for a full week. It brings in tons of money for hotels, food, drinks, all that good stuff. And one of their main reading sites is in Tampa, Florida. They host 5 of their readings there for the English language, the U.S. history exams. Those are 2 really, really big exams, by the way. So if I was the head of the College Board, I would immediately say, okay, great. If you don't want all of us, you don't get any of us. And basically, they probably won't be able to do it for summer 2023, but starting in 2024, we will be moving our reading to a different state. Number 2, they've actually dealt with something similar to this before in my own state of Texas. A few years back, Texas threatened to reject the new AP US history course that had been revised and edited because they said it left out important historical figures like Benjamin Franklin, for example. And so what the College Board did is they basically revised the framework and said, hey, okay, we've edited it based on your feedback. They didn't actually really change any of the actual content of the course. They just changed the instructions for teachers and they clarified how that course framework is meant to be used. And it essentially clarified kind of what I said in my last video, which is that, hey, this is a framework for teachers to start with, but teachers are responsible for building their own course and they can work within kind of their school district with students, with parents, kind of to determine how to best implement this course. And number 3, if I was in charge of the College Board, I would start building an e-learning platform where basically you could launch online courses. So for those of you who don't know, you don't actually have to be enrolled in and take an AP course to sign up for and take the AP exam and get college credit, right? So I had students in the past who wanted to take AP European history, but we didn't offer it. And so they would get a test prep book and I would just kind of tutor them and then I would help them prepare to take the test. And sometimes they would take it and still get college credit. If I was the College Board, I would start drafting my best AP African American Studies teachers who've been working in this pilot course. I would get them to start building an e-course that students homeschooling style could access from anywhere so that students from states like Florida who might not have this course offered at their school at all, or even if they did have it offered, it might be taken away, could still take this online course to prepare them for the test, take the test, and still get that college credit.
You guys just let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you guys think about this whole development, about this whole situation? And also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Also, subscribe if you like my kind of content. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Bye.